This is Justin Waller.
No, motherfucker, you can lose in life, bro. You can fucking lose.
This man has literally exploded on YouTube this year, gaining tens of thousands of subs every month, talking about how he's made millions of dollars and changed his own life. He's captured the hearts and minds of young guys across the world, and he also runs something called the War Room.
War Room is a group of guys that push each other and kind of forge each other through fire to become better men.
Working closely with the most Googled man on the planet. You know who I'm talking about, and he's stuck in Romania right now. But anyway, I wanted to get some secrets from one of YouTube's new favorite icons. So I DM'd Justin, bought a same-day flight to Miami. Seriously, I was literally there for 24 hours. Booked a podcast studio, and I sat down with him to figure out how he's become what he calls an abundant man. And let me tell you, we talked about everything. Like, seriously, there was some stuff that I didn't know if I was going to be able to leave in this video, so be sure to stick around for the whole conversation. And without further ado, I present to you, Justin Waller. Hey guys, really quickly as we jump into this video, I wanted to let you know that I'm giving away $300 between 3 of you guys partnering with the biggest crypto exchange in the world, Binance. Literally all you have to do to enter is follow the first link down below in the description to go create an account on Binance, and then follow the second link to fill out a survey. It's gonna ask you the name of my first collection. That was champs only, that's the answer. And then it's gonna ask you to paste in your Binance ID. That's literally all you have to do to enter, so go do it now. Links down below in the description. Excited for today's episode. Incredible guest, so I'll do the intro very fast. I'm Champ. I'm a kid from Oklahoma. Like I told you, changed my life with a laptop, and I'm passionate about helping people, namely young men like myself, change their perspective on the world and subsequently change their life. So I think for that reason, why this conversation would be valuable is probably pretty obvious. Today, I want to have a ruthlessly honest conversation that leaves anybody who watches this video in a position to take one step closer towards taking total ownership over their life. That's what I love talking about, and you create a lot of content about it as well. So I think a lot of people watching this video already know who you are, right? I am joined today by entrepreneur, creator, War Room mastermind, athlete. Not everyone knows that, Justin Waller. But for those who don't know who you are, can I get a quick intro on Mr. Waller?
Yeah, man, Justin Waller. I'm also from a small town in South Louisiana. I'm a big believer in creating an atmosphere in my content where guys can see a path to kind of have a small town exit. You know, let them see a bigger consciousness, what the world has to offer for them, and hopefully put some good out in the world, man. I do a lot of real world work. Like, my main income comes from construction and real estate, so it's really good to do something that's fulfilling to me. And if that helps a bunch of young men in the process, that would be the goal. So I'd feel very happy about that in every way.
Absolutely. Well,
yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about where you come from, because I know you didn't always live the lifestyle that you live now. And I think I read a quote from you that was something along the lines of, the only way we knew how to make doctor money was in boots.
Yeah,
something of that
yeah.
nature. So talk to me a little bit about your early life. You came from a small town. What was that like?
Yeah, so I grew up in, like I said, in South Louisiana. My dad was a cotton farmer, and so he tried to do that for a little while. Didn't work out. Parents split up. So he went into the restaurant business, but my stepfather was in construction. He did metal buildings. And so we never had a lot of money, but I knew that the people that he worked for had money because they'd buy new work trucks, and he'd end up getting one. And, you know, whether he stayed or got fired or whatever, I knew that those people had money. In fact, when I was a kid, we had 2 house fires. We know who made the fires, my mom, but we had to go stay in his boss's house. And he lived in this big fucking house, man. And it was obvious to me at that point that the man that owned that company made a lot of money doing metal buildings. And so we didn't live in a neighborhood where there were lawyers or doctors or anything like that. So the only consciousness I had around people that had money did construction. And so for that reason, I chose construction management as a path. I thought I would go play football and get a construction management degree, and then, you know, be working in Dallas, making $150, have a 401k, a big truck, huge house, and then I'd go start my own business. But
I know a lot of people who live that lifestyle, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. And look, dude, that life in Dallas, man, I say Dallas, I just use Dallas.
It's interchangeable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, any major city that's got these big construction companies that do these big projects, man, you know, it's not a bad life these guys are living. In fact, a lot of them make enough income they could get into real estate quite easily. It's just up to them whether they want to be an entrepreneur or not, whether they want to take those steps or they want to, go the 401k route, which, wasn't for me.
Right. Me either.
Yeah.
I made it less than a year in corporate America. You mentioned though you went to college as well, right? And you played ball in college, right?
Yeah, I
how
played
long,
football.
Yeah, how long did you do that?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I played all three sports. I played football, baseball, and basketball until my junior year. And it was around my junior year I realized that baseball scholarships are most often partial. Mm-hmm. And basketball, I could have played basketball, I guess, but I'd have had to go play D3 or some shit like that. It wouldn't have been playing to the hand I was dealt. Mm-hmm. I was mostly tough and willing to hit and do that whole thing. So I played football. I went to ULM in Monroe, and they paid for my school. And at that time, it was the best decision I knew to make. Now, if I had it all to do again, obviously, I think we all would agree that going to college might not be the best choice in 2023. Like, if I could have 4 more years of entrepreneurship, I would take that. But I did get a lot from playing football. I can't say that for the classroom, but I think there's a lot of very important lessons that come from playing college football that I was able to get. Like, one, it's a business.
Yeah,
it's a straight up business.
Yeah.
Like, you have a bad game against A&M because you didn't hit the weights hard enough, or you didn't weigh enough, or you didn't do the play correctly, or whatever. Your coach will pass you in the hallway and not talk to you. His family is on the line. So I'm a big proponent of playing the players. It's a business. Those schools make a bunch of money. But I would say I learned more on the field than I did in the classroom, just about life.
That's really interesting. I had never thought of college football as sort of analogous to business ownership, but it is because you're selling tickets. I mean, they just started paying the players, but you're selling tickets, right? And I assume that probably taught you a lot about like how to manage relationships with people when money's on the line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you get an up close and personal view of what your manager, your position coach, is going through.
Yeah.
And looking, dude, it's not an easy job. We were just talking about my coach. He had left ULM, and I think he went to Texas Tech and then Tulsa. His name's Steve Farmer, one of the best men I've ever known. But looking back at the pressure they must have been under, if we didn't win conference, or if we didn't win a certain amount of games or whatever, and their whole future is on the back of a fucking 18-year-old. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
God, it sounds like running an internet business.
Yeah. It's like Thomas being here. Except, I mean, but but
I understand.
for sure.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, you walked right into the next thing I was going to ask you because a number of people who do what we do have espoused pretty like negative views of college in the last several years, right? I went to college, by the way. And my perspective is kind of similar to yours, wherein I don't know that I would necessarily recommend it for someone who wants to do what I do, but there are certainly things that I gained from it that have been useful, mostly outside of what I actually learned in class, though.
When did you go?
I graduated in 2020, so 2016 to 2020. Nice. I'm 24. Nice. I'm a fucking baby, dude. But but anyway,
I just want to say this is the version of college you went to, completely different than the version of college I went to. Yeah, it's like time machine different. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, do you think it was better?
No, I think that kids today are, and I say kids, I think that college students today are more plugged into politics, geopolitics, because I mean, dude, Twitter, Instagram, all these other things, like letting them know the truths about the world. So no, I think a kid in college has a much better shot. But the only thing I would say is that it's tricky because unless you're going to go get a doctorate or be a pharmacist or whatever, or directly be a doctor or dentist or whatever, then I don't see a lot of use for it. But I didn't have the experience that you probably had in college.
Yeah, but I don't use my. It's what you said, right? If you're
do you use the skills though?
Yeah, but
you think?
But no,
yes, but
no,
because Instagram changes every other day.
Yeah, but you know what skills I there are skills that were important to be successful in college that are also important in life, like discipline. Right. But those are things you can learn elsewhere, right? But at the same time, like probably similar to you, everything that I did in my life thus far is the reason why I am where. So I wouldn't change anything, right?
I completely agree.
But objectively, like the amount that this costs, right? And the way that people, I think, get stonewalled from feeling like they have great opportunities in life because they can't afford something is a damn shame, because the reality is, like you said, the amount of truths that we can learn about the world for free now with Twitter and with the sort of advent of the internet, and it gets faster every year, right? Now we have AI and all of these things, is outstanding, right? But for me at least, a lot of it has been about actually unlearning things that I was taught sort of in conventional America, right? And that's what I wanted to ask you about next, is because I know there are kids that will watch this video that are that age, right? That are 16 to 20, trying to figure out what the fuck they're gonna do, and they don't know if they should go to college, and they don't know if it, what job they want to work, right? But what I do think all of them have in common is a certain number of things. We don't know what they're doing, what they need to do, but I bet we can name a couple things they're doing wrong. Right, a couple things that the average young man could get rid of and eliminate from their life in order to be in a better position. So that was sort of a roundabout way of getting to the question of asking you, what are a couple things, maybe 3 things that you think the average young person in that sort of transitory time in their life is doing wrong? What can they stop doing to put themselves on a better path?
I have to reverse engineer what I think is most important, and I think that's their physical fitness. So they should stop skipping the gym, because at this point I think it's common knowledge that that's something you should be doing, right? Any young man that's doing any kind of drugs, I would say find a way to stop and do that at an early age. Clearly the video games, but these are all like cliche answers, right? I think the most powerful thing they could stop doing, truly, of all those things that I just said, is letting other people think for them and assuming that adults know better than they do. One mistake I really made, and you probably would resonate with this, just growing up in the South, there was kind of like a rule that you had to listen to people that were older than you just because they were older than you.
I can't wait to talk about this.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. But I know a lot of those people and they're still in my life today, some of them. And you ask the question, okay, I hear you, respect, but why? And because I said so, because I'm an adult. Well, you're a fucking idiot also, but as a child, you don't see that. At 17, you can't see that, because it's like our teachers now, I'm not promoting not being respectful to your elders. I'm completely about that. In fact, one thing young people should stop is being disrespectful. But I'm saying allow them to say what they have to say to you, but stop letting them think for you. Go think for yourself. Go look for yourself. I think that particularly my generation, I had to unlearn so much, like you say, because I took people at their word because they were older than me, and I thought that meant they were right. And if I could go back and tap on my own shoulder, I would tell myself, hey, listen, go look for yourself. Look at that person. Do you want to be that person when you grow up? And 100 out of 100, the answer is no.
Dude, because you're right. You can exercise respect without, it's as simple as this, and you can love your parents and respect your elders, and these people can be wise beyond imagination. But if you look at their life, right, and this person is giving you advice about money, and
they broke.
They don't live a lifestyle that reflects where you want to be, objectively, there's no way it's a good idea to follow their advice, right? And when we talk about unlearning, you know Luke, right? Our friend Luke Belmar, right?
Yeah, I know Luke.
Yeah. He talks.
Love Luke.
Yeah, talks. We just had him on the channel. He talks a lot about getting unplugged, right?
Yeah.
And I have a conversation with him, and I look at, for example, I was just talking about my friend Luca, also lives in Miami. $100 million entrepreneur, dropped out of high school. He's 20. Yeah. He's younger than me, dude. He's fucking 22 years old. And there are all these things that are possible about the world. At least if you're like me. That you grow up believing can't be true, right? And that was probably the biggest obstacle to me starting my own business, was limiting beliefs, wherein I was afraid to take that leap or quit my job because I almost thought that, if it's possible, then everyone would do it, right? But the reality is, do you know what I mean? But the reality is that we build these sort of glass cages around ourselves and limit our own potential, I believe, through sort of those limiting beliefs. So that's why I wanted to ask you if you felt like, coming from where you came from, in a small southern, United States town, if you had a lot of limiting beliefs that you had to sort of work out of and shed in your older age.
Yeah.
Well, you're not. So. You're in your 30s, but
yeah, But even still now, I think I'm still unlearning things. Right. Because no matter what, and you must do it. It's one of the most important things you can do in your life, because I always talk about climbing mountains and finding more consciousness. If you get to the top of something, you don't have that long before you're going to sabotage yourself back down unless you find something bigger to climb, right? And so I feel like not only am I always unlearning things, but I'm constantly looking for new consciousness, you know, constantly looking for new things that I can hopefully get excited about. Because the worst thing, and I've actually dealt with this personally, maybe you've not hit this yet, but you're going to because of the path you're on. I'll tell you a story. I was sitting in my house. It's actually the house now that Thomas and the guys stay in. I kept it. So the crew, like with the film crew and everybody, or the YouTube guys, they stay in that house, and I stay in the big house, my house. But I was in that first house, and I don't know how old I was. All I remember is I was putting on dress shoes to go to my construction office, and I look out the back glass, and it's bamboo and pool, and it's just beautiful. I'm like, man, it's a long way from the trailer park, and I felt a little dead inside because I didn't have anything to, you know. And it sneaks up on you, man. And I always say that success is like it's a two-part scenario. It's climbing the mountain, which is where all the happiness is, right? But it's also making sure you look up to find more consciousness past once you reach your goal. Because if you don't and you get there, that fire inside of you kind of die because you don't have to get out of bed or you don't want to. And there's nothing to chase.
Dude. You keep talking about the next thing I was going to ask you about because this is something that I've struggled with personally, right? And it happened to me the first time that I bought my first nice car. I moved into a nice place, but it's not even the material shit, dude. For me, it has more to do with exactly what you said, the chase, right? And I'm not sure if you consume any of Andrew Huberman's content, but he talks a lot about...
Yeah, I know who Huberman is. Right, very sweet.
Right, he's great. So he talks a lot about dopamine and the role that it plays in sort of motivation, particularly for men. And he talked about some studies where we see CEOs or founders of businesses upon finally achieving like the big goal. They exited their company, they IPO'd, whatever it is that they did, spiraling into deep depressions.
Well, they sold their identity.
Right.
Like I think about that with my main company. Like if I were to sell it, I would be selling a part of me that I couldn't get back or control. Right.
But you live an incredible life, right? And you're somebody who I see being very outwardly happy. Yeah. So how do you think about happiness? Like, how do you find that sort of groove to live in, to not go too high or not go too low? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So everything I do, I am trying to become better. If I read a book, I am excited about the book because I think that book knows something that I don't. Even if I only take one thing away from it. So when I was saying that growth is on the climb, I get a lot of fulfillment about just growing this YouTube channel, right? Or, you know, buying houses in different countries, or maybe getting a second passport, or, you know, I just what was it, in December, I closed 85 more real estate doors, you know, building that portfolio. We're meeting with investors. We're going to start developing soon. So there's always, I can't stay still because I feel like if I stay still, then being depressed would catch me then. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's just about keeping it moving. And then one thing that I think is particularly, for me, really important is every now and then I just stop and I just count everything that's going good in my life. And it's fucking everything.
Gratitude,
like, yeah, bro. It's like you have to do it. You have to count everything that's good for you. Because I'd be bald-faced lying to you if I said I wasn't happy. I could not be more happy. Like anytime I'm dealing with unhappiness, it's really just because I've forgotten how great everything actually is, right? One thing that I have as a tool, I actually just shared this at a War Room event, but I have this thing on my phone called the Rainy Day. And what it is, it starts off, it says, if you're reading this, you think you're having a bad day. But let me remind you of your accomplishments and what your life is like right now. And it just goes on this list.
And you wrote it?
I wrote it. Yeah. But it's a reminder because a lot of times you forget. Dude, you could wake up and feel like kind of in a shit mood just because you drank vodka the night before, or because, you know, the sun's not out and you don't realize you forgot to take your multivitamin that morning. Like it's very almost mathematical in that way, right? So, you know, I like to keep things in my phone that remind me, particularly that rainy day. Like if I think I'm having a bad day, oh, are you? You're 6'3", you're driving a G-Wagon around. You don't have enough time to date all the women that want to see you. You're making money in your sleep. You got great teams. You got people, you know, you got houses, bro. But you forget. You forget really easily. I'd say maybe one day a month. You know, I'll have to remind myself.
Well, the field goal moves, right? Like your goalpost.
So that's the tricky part, right? So I believe there's two voices in your head. There's like this little bitch voice, but then there's this voice that never goes away. I think my biggest fear in life is losing that second voice, the one that said, "Yeah, but you could have done this," you know, or you could have done it that way, or you could have done it faster, or you know, you could catch this person if you wanted to. I do think that last thing I said is probably the one I think about the least. I can't even think of a time where I saw somebody else and like felt envy.
Well, there's always a richer mother. There's always a richer mother. If you're Bill Gates, there's someone to catch.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
but I always say, but that's the important part, I think, is that if you are maximizing everything, not just money, you know, if you're staying in good health, if you try to pay attention to your style, if you're making sure that your grooming is on point, all the way down to little things, man, like. There was a time I was thinking about getting veneers. I've had 2 hair transplants.
I've thought about getting veneers as well.
Yeah. It's like like you just want to make sure you're like, what I don't want to do is look back and be like, bro, you could have tried harder. You know, you could have done this and that. That's the shit. Like, I don't want to leave shit on the table.
Spoken like an athlete.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, you could get a high score in a game from a coach after film, right? And you'd be like, yeah, but I could have made that block in the second quarter.
Yeah. But that's what it is, though. To be fair, though, that's the entrepreneurial spirit, right? Like, that's what makes you keep fucking going further, because you've been in the game a lot longer than I have, right? Yeah. So it's important for me to have these conversations, because I think a lot about longevity. Do you know what I mean? All the people that I look up to the most have been doing this shit for a long time. And you know what's been really interesting to me is also the advent, at least from my perspective, right, with you and even the Tate brothers and the war and all these individuals, there's been almost this advent of, I feel like, a little bit older influencer on YouTube, right? Like, you guys aren't fucking 18-year-old kids playing Fortnite. Do you know what I mean?
No.
You're in your 30s and have built a massive real estate and construction business. And those are things that only come with time. So these conversations are great, you know, for the viewer, but they're also great for me, just from sort of a selfish perspective. And that's a great part about having a podcast, is I get to talk to you guys. Yeah. But, you know, back to what you said earlier about, because humans are complex creatures, right? And some days you do just kind of wake up and feel like shit, no matter how much gratitude you practice or you meditate every day, or even if you had a great workout the day before. But I think that the reason why you and so many of these other guys are so important to the world at large right now and internet culture is because there are a lot of young people, particularly young men, and it's the same reason why folks like Jordan Peterson are as popular as they are, who are unwell, at least in their own minds, right? Who don't feel good, right? Who are trying to figure out who they are or what they are wanting to do. So I wanted to ask you what your perspective is, or what your take is, right, on sort of the state of the average young man right now, right? And we could say American young man,
right? I don't think it's in a very good place for them, but I do think that they have a lot of opportunity. So you know how older people generally will talk poorly about the generation right behind them?
Yep.
I never want to be that guy. And the reason why is that I don't think it's completely fair. Every generation gets a brand new set of opportunities. Let's say y'all's is the internet and having reach that I did not have, by the way. There was no Facebook when I was in high school, no Instagram. Really, YouTube was not a thing, right? It wasn't until college that I got Facebook. But for that reason, I, now at 37, don't see the world through the lens that you do and the opportunities that you do, right? So what I think the young men are dealing with is women are a bit more woke. I think they're a bit more promiscuous. So the upside to that is you could sleep with a lot more women if you'll take care of your business. Now, I know there's a large percentage of young men that don't, because they have streaming porn, which we did not have growing up either.
I was going to ask you about that.
Oh, no, you didn't, bro. So you had to go in your buddy's house and like see if their dad had it in the top of the closet. Yeah, no, dude, that or a VHS. And then you'd like try to rewind it back to the part where he left it off, like he's keeping score. But so yeah, it's funny, huh? It's true. It's true, bro.
Sorry.
But you guys can but your generation has you're 13, you're like, I can just get a VPN. I didn't know
we have a fucking dopamine problem.
Bro, yeah. And you do. And so you have this huge dopamine problem where you're kind of getting let's say 75% of, and in some ways it could be argued if the girl's a pain in the ass, you're getting 100% without the headache, right? And so there's that challenge. There's a challenge for certainly the American kid or any Western world country of the type of food that they're eating. So now you're looking at being a little overweight at a minimum. A lot of kids, and I have a heart for this, I feel like an obese child is child abuse. I truly do. I tweeted that maybe last year. I'm like, if your kid's obese, it should be charged as child abuse. So they have those two things, and then they have weed, which is becoming legal, and they can just go to MedMen in LA and just pick it up like it's goddamn candy, you know. So there's that. So there's all these things that are going against young men, on top of the fact that there's a lot more single parents. So there's a good chance that they're not being raised with a dad in the house. And then that kind of flips to, well, thank God there's guys to look up to. And there's guys going on YouTube, and there's guys trying to show them the proper way to take responsibility, maybe go to the gym. They're watching your podcast. They're seeing like what you're doing in your life, and so they have hopefully a North Star. But by and largely, I don't think young men are in a really good place. You know, it's especially with the way the economy is going to go and what they're kind of walking into. Because you have to understand that ever since we went off the gold standard, right? We've been building debt that we're just going to shove in their lap, you know, and me too, and you, right? So that pretty much covers the basis of women. That's money muscles game right there.
Yep.
Right there. Inflation for money, the food that they're being fed, even in schools that they're being fed. And then, you know, the porn thing and the women. And the women in the OnlyFans and I don't need no man. Well, dude, it's tough.
Okay, I gotta make a mental note because all three of these are topics that we gotta talk about. I'm gonna start. Dude, I'll start with the pornography addiction, dude. I worry about, because I'll probably have kids.
Yeah.
I worry about if I had a son right now and he was, you know, he got a pocket supercomputer at age 3, right? Like, listen, dude, I'm glad that I didn't get an iPod Touch or whatever till I was like 14. I've never spoken about this before. No, but seriously, the dude, when I was probably 13 or 14, I found out that there was infinite naked women on the internet, dude.
Yeah.
And I know in retrospect that fucked me up, right? I know that started that started a damaging dopamine hyper addiction at a developmental part of my life, right? And I don't listen, dude. I don't care to get online and have, you know, conversations about the morality of it, whatever. Humans are sexual creatures, right?
Yeah, man.
But I think that
I don't think there's any good and bad in it. I think you're absolutely right about that.
But what I do think is that what we can, and again, it's like we were talking to Andrew Huberman, we can objectively look at the fact that overloading on dopamine and stimuli is horrible for physical and mental health, horrible for productivity, and 100% contributing to the how do I say? It sounds stereotypical to say like the feminized male, but you know what I mean? Like people just aren't fucking doing anything. Right? So I was gonna ask you, what do you do? Do you limit your screen time? Do you limit like your usage and what you consume on a daily basis? Or like how do you sort of navigate that part of your life?
Yeah, so I mean, the thing with me is I don't need the porn. Really, it's more about like not answering my text messages. Yeah. If I'm being 100.
Yeah, and sorry, I was dumping all that into the same bucket. The pornography, fucking Twitter, TikTok,
yeah,
online casino.
Yeah, so I don't gamble. I'll tell you one thing that I do that I think is very helpful, and it won't answer this question completely, but I do believe in something called an information diet. I purposely don't know how to play poker. Like, very intentfully, hey, do you want to play poker? I'll teach you. No, I don't. I purposely don't know how to play, like, video games. Like, I'd get my ass kicked, it would suck, and I'd quit, right? I purposely don't. There's that. So there's a lot of things that I don't know. Like cocaine, for example. There's cocaine all over the place in Miami.
Yeah, you live in Miami.
I don't want to know, bro. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Because what if you like it? There's a lot of people sitting under the bridge that didn't want to know. They had a surgery and somebody gave them a pill and then they knew.
Yeah.
You know? So I think the most important thing is, if you're a young man, it's like, don't find out. You know how they say fuck around and find out?
Yeah.
Don't fuck around and find out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if you can reduce that, even to the young man that, let's say, he's watching porn. Hey, bro, don't go down that rabbit hole. You better keep it on that blonde, bro. Don't go into that weird shit.
It's gonna get weirder and weirder.
Yeah, it's gonna get weirder and weirder. And guess what? You're gonna start liking that shit because now you're getting off to it. Your body is responding to that.
And then you can't have a normal relationship anymore
right
at some point.
Right. You're gonna be like trying to talk your girlfriend and like fucking some other dude or something crazy.
It's like
right?
doing a bigger dose. Right?
Yeah, you need a bigger dose. Oh, try this in real life. But bro, like a lot of times guys, or they tie some girl up and they're like, what am I doing? So I think make sure you don't mess around and find out or learn to enjoy something that's not going to be healthy for you.
And it's so funny, dude, because you talked about like wokeness earlier. Internet culture has become so good at pervading things that are objectively unhealthy, sort of under the guise of freedom and self-expression.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't like. And again, I try to kind of toe that line because I don't want to get overly, I talk about everything from sort of like a health and success perspective. But seriously, man, that shit, there's so much culture that pervades these things and like tries to convince you that it's a good idea. And I love what you said earlier. One of my favorite books I ever read, Atomic Habits by James Clear. You probably read it, or if not, you've seen it in advertisement.
Yeah, I read it.
He talks about eliminating bad habits. Just make it fucking hard. Make it hard, right?
Yeah.
If you don't ever learn to play, if you don't have your phone on you all the time, if you block your internet, you know what I mean? Like you just don't expose yourself to those things. And on that same topic is diet, dude. You talk about Western food, and this is not a conspiracy theory, right? This isn't like an opinion. This is objectively.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is terrible, right? And you know this because you're a worldly person. Yeah. So you've been outside of the country and you've eaten other places, probably for extended periods of time.
Yeah.
And
you lose weight.
Yeah.
What happens is it's not even about the fat that you lose. It's about de-inflammation almost. Like I'm leaner. But I was never pinching less. Let's say I go to Europe. We go do a car rally every summer, right? And I could pinch my stomach and okay, there's whatever that skin, right? I'm no less lean. It's like my everything in me is just like it's like clean, it's pure after being gone for a while. And I might lose 10 pounds, but I'm not holding water because it's not sodium or MSG or whatever. Just feel better. I'll tell you who is really big into that. In fact, he's leaving Miami and going abroad because of Sterling Cooper. Yeah. He's like, I've had enough of this food.
Yeah.
Well,
we were talking about Luke earlier, right? He's
super on it.
Yeah. But it's funny because this is what I was saying, man. Everyone's mindset is so fucked up because I can't even talk about these things without feeling I have to toe around it so people don't think I'm a conspiracy theorist.
Right. About food?
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, dude, I just don't want to put poison in my body, right?
Right. I get it.
And people and these narratives get told for so long, right? Even when you talk about quality of the water, right?
Yeah.
You can go on fucking EPA.gov right now and read about the parts per mil of shit. Yeah. In the Miami water supply,
birth
right?
Control.
Not even just estrogen, right? We don't know what consuming massive amounts of microplastics do to human beings, right? These are new things. So I certainly think those are an obstacle. I mean, I suppose not just to the young man, to everybody, right? I just speak to people whose experience I understand, right?
Right.
But I don't know. I guess life has always been hard, right? It's easier.
Yeah, and it's always been the end of the world.
But
it's always been the end of the world.
But I feel like it's harder than ever in a number of ways. You know what I mean? And it's harder because it seems like it's easier, so you feel foolish or you feel sort of soft for admitting the massive amount of challenges that we face. I feel. And if you take it to Twitter, it's gonna be, oh well, what are you talking about? Like you're a young man in America. You're the luckiest person in the world, right? So I love conversations like this because I think it's important to talk to the kids like me, man.
Right.
Because when I was a kid, I was fucking confused and I was not happy, and I didn't think that I ever would be in this position coming from where I was from, and I wasn't good. I wasn't even, when I was in middle school, I was fucking failing, dude. I wasn't even supposed to make it through high school. Right. You know what I mean? So
bro, I get it. I failed 6th grade. But the beautiful thing is you have all these new problems, right? But a kid from Oklahoma, had you been born in 1985, well, let me back up. Let's say 75. You wouldn't have left Oklahoma.
Yeah,
statistically. You wouldn't have known the world out there. So you would have traded the consciousness you have about what you can do. You can come to Miami, you can, interview people, you can do this, you can build this online brand. You would have traded that out for living in Oklahoma, and maybe the food would have been a bit better. Maybe the one woman that you met would have been more loyal.
Yeah.
and not been on a boat in Miami the next day, right? So like I said, every generation has a new set of opportunities, but those opportunities come with challenges. Yeah, so it's navigating through it, and it's always been the end of the world to everybody. Right. You know, it's scary. I mean, like for example, I don't know what prime is today, but I do know at the end of the 80s and late 70s, early 80s, the interest rates got to like 18%. You think those motherfuckers didn't think it was the end of the world? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I was looking at that literally yesterday. I was looking at the chart of it yesterday.
Yeah.
Which I can't imagine.
Right. So try to buy a house then. Try to be a husband and a father then.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where it gets tricky. And the more that and the more inflation we have, the more the CPI goes up. You know, so the prices of everything go up, and that's how you get bread going from 5 cents to $5 or $7, wherever the fuck it is. I don't buy bread, but you see what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so
eggs.
You know, and then, you know, think about this. And let's say, I don't know what year it got popular. Let's say in 2002, a 30-year-old man, for the first time in his life, after he's been scrummaging through his dad's closet, goes on the computer and he can watch streaming porn. He's probably super excited about that because that man's probably never seen women that beautiful naked. You know what I'm saying? But now he has a problem, right?
Now he has a problem.
Here's this opportunity.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, this is awesome. But he's the first generation of people that got hooked.
Yeah.
You know? And so, like, and it's all cyclical. So I think that we're probably in some pretty hard times right now. It's going to lead to, like, you know, something popping, something happening, and then hopefully we'll course correct and do what's best for humanity. And that's one thing that I do trust, that whether you're Russian or American or African or South American, whatever, I think that humanity as a whole, humans as a whole, have number one thing they want to do is survive. And so I think that most of the arguing comes from fighting over who's going to survive at the highest level. Mm-hmm. And something is sure to happen to hopefully at least adjust it. And I think it always has, and I think it always will, you know, so we'll see.
And on that topic, sort of, we talk about adjustments, right? And I've been seeing what feel like, maybe just because of the sphere of Twitter that I live in, almost seismic shifts of people's sort of perspective on geopolitics and their perspective on where the best places to live are, right? And we were talking earlier about the UAE, we were talking earlier about the United States. There's been some pretty prominent, you know, influencers that have relocated to that area of the United States. What is, not necessarily what you were going to do personally, but what is your sort of perspective on, at least from my perspective, I've been seeing, I feel a huge gravitation towards the UAE and even people converting to Islam, right? Like, do you think that's sort of a reaction to the amount of bullshit that's going on in the United States right now, or why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think people have had enough. So I think you know how they say that there's a quiet majority? I think that people are having enough of that. But then just like a product or anything else, there's an early adopter, right? There's early adopters. Like when they're doing app products and stuff like that, they call them early adopters. Mm-hmm. I think our early adopters of, okay, this is bullshit, are actually leaving. You know, like I just bought a house in UAE. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying I'm leaving America. I think making the decision whether you're going to leave America or not really depends on how you make money. I make money in brick and mortar business mostly. So for me, that would shut down a huge part of my income, right? So probably not the smartest thing for me to do, to just jump ship. But if I made money on the internet and I wanted to go to St. Kitts or do the whole Bahamas thing or get residency in Dubai, like I just bought a house in Dubai. I'm not saying I'm leaving, but I'm also not going to be left with no options, right?
Right.
And so it's I think that after 2024, like the election, we're going to know a lot more. We're going to see, you know, how people really feel about things. But I don't think that's going to stop wokeism for a while.
Do you worry about the future of, I mean, not even the United States, but the world? I talk about this with every single one of my guests. Yeah. And usually the answers are kind of similar. Do you worry about the future of our world?
Not in regards to I think we're going to blow each other up. I think we all know that's a bad move. Mm-hmm. I think that we fight our wars with sanctions right now. Mm-hmm. I think that there's some alliances that are threatening to the way that we have been living, BRICS being one of them. Not that I'm saying that they're good, bad, or indifferent. I think it could easily be argued that America's a bully. you know, with the way that we print money and how we just were like, oh, gold standard, fuck you guys. You know what I'm saying? We have and look, I often say America's the GOAT and I get heat for it, but we do have the biggest military. We do have the best geological defense and structure. We have our own oil. We can farm. We can self-sustain. So there's a guy, I think his name's Peter Drucker. He wrote The End of the World is Just the Beginning. And he's talking about deglobalization. I think America looks good in deglobalization. I think the UAE is going to be okay because they'll just get their stuff from, you know, wherever. So I love the UAE. It's safe. I respect Islam. I'm not planning to convert, but I super respect it and understand why people are doing it. Christians have really turned their head, and I think they have a misrepresentation of what Jesus was, because Jesus was also a savage, you know, like he would turn his head to things, but he would also do what he had to do. And I think that Christians by and large are missing that part, like letting some of the things in that Islam would never let in. So, but as far as how the world's going, I feel like it's going real degenerate at the moment. And so finding a place with structure that has rules that are kept is becoming harder and harder to come by. But no, I don't think that we're going to blow ourselves up.
Yeah. Well,
you know,
I mean, I was thinking more along the lines of what you just talked about. I just, you know what I mean? Because we were talking about Sneeko earlier.
Like the woke stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to continue to get worse for quite a while. And then people are going to go to places where you can trust the laws and the structures there. Yeah. And that's why I believe Dubai is so popular. UAE is going to continue to blow up.
Well, it's good for taxes.
It is. It is. I'm not a big fan of it being in the middle of the desert. That's the only.
I mean, I just worry about time zones, dude. I like being in the United States time, but I guess that wouldn't matter.
Yeah, I think people take for granted that, you know, they have food on the table every day and like where that shit comes from.
Yep.
You know, because it's there all the time, right? But at the same time, they have no clue like what somebody had to go through to make that happen, or what kind of land needs to exist for that to happen. So, I think people are going to find out, you know, more and more where the best places to go are.
Yep.
You know, so we'll see.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to make sure we cut that out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, man, absolutely. While I have you here, I want to talk about some of the stuff you're working on as well. Obviously, super involved with the War Room, super involved with the real world. I think that's probably how I came across you in the first place. How's that going right now? Are you still as involved as ever?
Absolutely, man. Probably even more involved as ever. I just spoke in Louisville. They had a War Room feast, and I was buying a mobile home park in Ohio, and it was a 3-hour drive. So we hopped in the car, went down, spoke to those guys. It was great. Since then, I've probably met up with 6 or 7 guys that are just either coming through Miami or flew to Baton Rouge to see me. Just had a War Room guy come in. He's going to invest in some of our real estate deals. So more than ever, man, I'm going to fly to Spain next month and speak at the feast that Luke Barnett is putting on. Mm-hmm. So the War Room has feasts. It's where they kind of do some education, or in this case, they're going to do a lot of sparring, and then people come in to speak, and they do a big dinner together, you know, and get together. Just yesterday, I spoke to Dylan Madden, and he's one of the professors in the real world. And, man, they're killing it, man. We're changing lives every day. Every day. I think it was just yesterday or the day before, a 14-year-old made $3,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he made it like bam, like he made it in a week. You know? I do. That's the whole reason why I got involved in internet business in the first place. Yeah, right? It's crazy. It's crazy. You know, it's almost like the decentralization of business in a way. Mm-hmm. You know, like when I was growing up, Walmart was like juggernaut, and they still are, right? Yeah. But I guess the point that I'm making is like there was not a thought process for me where I could have a product that's all over the world, like overnight, and you could get a small piece of that. But a small piece of that is a whole lot to one person. So, yeah, we had that, and then he also told me about a guy that he couldn't pay his rent. He's got 2 kids. He had lost his job during COVID, whatever. They're struggling really bad. He spent all his reserves. Not only did he pay rent, but then he turned around and paid it 3 months in advance just to make sure. So, yeah, man, the real world's changing lives every day. In fact, quick plug, if anybody wants to get in the real world, hit me up on Instagram. Do we have my Instagram back yet? Do it on Twitter. Do it on Twitter. Dude, I got some hackers on my Instagram. They fucking hate me, bro.
I was trying to find your shit.
They hate me, bro. They'll send me messages. Got you again. Haha, send me money.
It's okay.
I'm like, bro.
Luke gets banned like every other week.
Yeah, I was talking to Luke about it. Yeah. But it's crazy too, because it's like they'll steal your photos, make an account of you, and then mass report you. So we have to change the handle all the time. It's Turbo Gay.
Let me see. Let me see if we can find. No, it's not here, brother.
That's fine.
I'm
cool in real life. I don't care. I don't need it.
Yeah,
but
fuck it.
Yeah, Waller7J on Twitter if you want to get into into the real world.
Absolutely.
Or the war room. But yeah, I'm always I'm in the halls. I've probably posted every day now for 30 days.
Sure.
And once a guy's in the war room, if he sends me a message on Telegram, I'll answer it. Like I'm there for him. If they're around, I'll go eat lunch with them and stuff. I must have ate lunch with 4 or 5 people when I was in Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fulfilling to me. I like being on a team. It's that background.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, nothing better. Can't wait for the boys to get out, and then we just keep building.
Yeah, Can we talk about that
if you want?
Yeah. What do you like? When the fuck is that gonna happen,
bro? It's tricky. There's no Romanian rule that says that they have to do anything for 6 months. They can look. So it's crooked. I find it interesting that Brittany Griner went to another country as an American, openly admitted she broke the law, and we traded an arms dealer for her, if I'm not mistaken. Whereas you have Tristan Anderson in jail, and they can't even convict him. And crickets. So, and even when I talk to some of my buddies that like have serious connections, like at Fox, their response is, man, if we were in a Republican White House, like they would at least try, right? And when I say try, I have to believe that America can do whatever they want, right? They could get them out, but I don't think in these conditions that it's going to be easy.
Everyone's terrified to talk about it, right? Like news outlets.
Well, that's why. Yeah. That's absolutely why. In England or Britain is not making it any easier with all the money that they're spending, to fight against Andrew.
Have you gotten any of your content like demonetized or taken down for talking about any of that stuff?
Not really.
I only asked because we were talking about Luke getting banned on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Where were you like when you found out when you got the news?
I was actually in Louisiana.
Were you just like, what the fuck? Like,
I honestly, my first response was, oh, they'll be out in a couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
Like my first response was not like super concerned, right? Because I'm like, we had just gone through that in April, right? Mm-hmm. And so when it first happened, I was like, okay, they'll be out tomorrow, literally. It was at like day 4 where I was like staring at the ceiling. What the fuck is going on, man? So, and then now every time they push it back, it's just almost like you're kind of not in shock, but like in awe of just how openly blatant it is. There's no evidence. These girls are coming out and saying that they weren't victims, right? And when they say that, then instead of it being a woke world where women can think for themselves and make their own decisions and they're empowered, now they were manipulated and they can't think for themselves any longer. It's so clearly obtuse that it disgusts me.
Do you think that they will get out though?
Well, they're not going to be able to charge them with anything.
Yeah, well, that's why I asked, right?
So, and then like the only way they don't get out is if they don't get a fair trial.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is my biggest concern right now. It's not whether they're innocent or guilty. It's whether they get a fair shake. That I can't answer, but I like to stay positive about it because I like to put the positive things into the atmosphere for that reason.
Certainly.
For that reason, outside of somebody just bald-faced lying about them, then they're absolutely getting out.
Well, I ask from a place of legitimate curiosity,
right?
No, because I don't know what the fuck's going on, right? But you know these guys personally, which also, as long as I've known who you are, I just knew that you guys knew each other. How did that relationship form?
I joined the war room.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You just joined and
I joined the war room, and then I met him, and then you know how things happen. It's like people click in a certain way. Mm-hmm. Andrew's pretty selective about who he keeps around.
I like
to say that or like to think that I'm worth that selection, you know, in a lot of ways. And I just think that, you know, there's some times where things match up. Oh, money, this, and this. But then there's like that interpersonal connection that you can't fake that. So we've always just gotten along, been close in that way. And, you know, for that reason, we spend a lot of time together. Jewel, same way, shooter. Sterling. I mean, there's about 5 of us that really spend a lot of time together. So
that's crazy.
I'll tell you who else is like that. Really, really good dude is Tam Khan. Tam Khan's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good dude.
Damn, so all that happened on the internet. All those, you joined the shit?
I found Andrew. I was watching Richard Cooper.
Yeah.
And I saw him, and I'm like, damn, bro. Like, he gets it. You know, I'll tell you why. This kind of goes back to the Southern thing. In my 20s, I felt very kind of suppressed, but kind of left out. Like, so as people were doing gender reveal parties and getting married and doing all this, like, in my gut, I'm like, man, this is not for me. It's not. And by the way, yeah. And it's not that I don't believe in family. I do believe in family. I just don't believe in monogamy, particularly, and the way that they do it. So, I'd love. Look, I'm not saying I wouldn't have a wife. I'd never legally get married. Might have a wife. Might have some kids. Who knows, right? But if I did have kids, I'd be a damn good father, right? And I'd be a damn good husband. And the only thing I would ask is like, please help. Hey, baby, I'm not trying to leave you out. Like, just help me recruit, you know? And so there was just like, I felt super trapped inside of that. And I knew that all my friends felt the same way. They just couldn't say it. And here's this guy saying it. And all this time I was trying to fix something that wasn't broken. Does that make sense?
It does.
You know, like I was super trying to like fix this broken part of me. Like, why do I feel this way? I want so badly. Because I would break up with girls that I loved them. I loved the girl. But I had to leave her because I didn't want to be a piece of shit. What I just started doing is telling the truth. And I think guys would be shocked that if you told the truth, just how much women would respect it because they all know it's true deep down. Now, you also have to be that dude, right? You know, but I tell girls all the time, hey, yo, listen, I got this, and this one, you like this one, like, and they accept it completely. And then they want to be helpful in that way. So, all at the same time, if I had a wife and kids, if they would have a really good life and feel really loved and really taken care of, and they would travel and they would have all these amazing things, and we would have heart-to-hearts, and I'd be very kind to that woman, and I'd take care of her in every way. I'd retire her if that were the case.
Do you feel like there are certain men for whom it is appropriate to be in a monogamous relationship?
My problem with the man saying it's appropriate is that he would have to, and there's no way to know, right? But I'm going to say prove to me, and just for an example, nobody needs to prove to me anything. Only thing you have to prove is to yourself, but just for a hypothetical.
Yeah.
He would have to prove to me that he could be in abundance in the first place, and he's not doing it, that he is actually doing it out of choice. Right? Most men, well, no, seriously.
No, I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's keep it 100, right?
I know.
Most men are not doing that out of choice. They're doing it.
But it sounds better.
It does, doesn't it?
It sounds better.
Or they'll hide behind a Bible and say it's because of that. But this same guy, he smokes weed or you know, sells or whatever he does, right?
Yeah.
Or does some other shit he shouldn't do. Maybe he's watching porn or whatever he's doing, right? So, you know, is it out of choice or
is it the one thing that conveniently fit? You know what
right,
I mean? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, okay, so you're gonna get consistent sex, you think, and you're gonna get what you thought that the world wants you to do, so you can fit in with everybody. But the truth is, most men, even if they're happily married and absolutely head over heels in love, you can be head over. If I had a wife, I would absolutely love her, right? If you can be absolutely in love with that girl and easily have a threesome with her and another woman, or just sleep with another woman. Like, you don't care. Like, and you could be, dude, if you could have sex with a woman and then go home and hold your wife at night, if you had one, you would do it. Most men would do it if they had choice. They want the variety in their life. Tell me I'm wrong. Go ahead.
I wonder if I don't really think my girlfriend watches my YouTube videos.
Bro, yes she does. Yes she does.
Listen.
If I had a girl, if I had a wife, she would watch them all.
Listen. This is why I'm asking you. I think it's
Bro, no red-blooded male would not want to love a woman fully, tuck his kids in at night, and then get some strange every now and then.
I think I think the way that I think about it is just protecting the feelings of people that I care about.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I get it.
But listen, dude, I don't lie. I won't lie on camera. Like, I'm not gonna come on this fucking show and be like, no, Justin, like, I don't.
Yeah. No, I get it.
I never look at women and think,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I'm at a stage of my life. You know what else, dude? I've been through 5-year stints of my life where I could not be fucking bothered to spend more than 2 weeks with the same person. Do you know what I mean? But I think that, dude, if anything, I think it's okay to have conversations about living life in ways that don't sort of fit the standard mold, specifically when you're from where we're from, right? Because where I fucking grew up, and by the way, all of my friends that I went to college with who are 24 years old, all of them are getting married in the next year. All of them. It's a fucking race, dude.
Yeah, no.
They're sprinting.
It's a Facebook race.
Dude, and that's what I try and explain. I know dudes who got fucking bullied into getting married by their wives,
they got punked.
bro.
Yeah, bro.
No, but they're literally getting bullied by their own wife into marrying them for what?
Right.
For an entire, it's a lifelong. I mean, I guess more than half people get divorced, but it's supposed to be.
They'll be divorced before 30, bro.
And it's insane.
And then their wife they're gonna throw divorce parties where they go act like a hoe.
And it's dude. But Justin, but it's so crazy because I'm sorry. I didn't think we were gonna talk about this, but Justin, it's so crazy because the gravity of the decisions that are being decided by. Being able to post a picture of the fucking ring, or being able to throw a wedding party.
And that's where it's coming from. It's coming from the pressure she's putting on him to do it.
Yeah.
Because her friend did it.
That's what it's like.
And women are competing.
They get together.
Women are competing.
Like, oh well, he hasn't. Justin, I cannot make this up. I was in Dallas. I won't say it was. I was in Dallas 2 days ago. Right? They did the St. Patrick's Day thing, and there was one of my friends. Oh my god, if I say this one. Okay, we gotta keep it very long. I keep it very vague.
Keep it vague.
An individual that I know got in a blowout argument with his future fiance.
If he keeps getting arguments with her.
Okay, but listen, his girlfriend, because nothing happened in particular, but she went and had a conversation with another girl who has also not been proposed to, but she found out that her boyfriend has bought her a ring. So this other girl was like, so nothing happened. She just got mad. She just realized that she got mad that he hadn't proposed to her fast enough. Yeah. And this was like a fucking, I'm talking, he's getting shoved across the bar. They're yelling in public, like crazy shit, dude. So
so that's his fault, by the way.
Okay, let's talk extreme accountability.
Women don't act like that with men that they respect. He has allowed an atmosphere between he and that girl.
Told him the same thing.
That allows her to disrespect him in that way. You know what I mean?
Told him the same thing.
So, just the fact that he is willing to raise his voice at all lets her know that there's some level like this, when really she should look up to him, and she clearly doesn't. So she's going to punk him for a ring. There are many, many women I know that would spend as much time as I'd possibly give them. No ring needed. None. And let me speak to something you were going to say. Because I think it's that you said it's the expectation that you have to set in truth that is going to stop her from having her feelings hurt. Women want position. If you can give a woman position and give her true love, I can almost guarantee you, and you're that guy, and your frame is right, and you can provide, she'll be happier with you because you're adding in that dread factor, right? So it's he loves me not, but she does know that you love her. And so particularly how I handle that situation is always by telling the truth, because a lot of marriages get broken up because the man is too much of a coward to tell the woman the truth, and he just gets caught. Right.
Right.
That's
a fucking fact.
That's where the real pain is. Because you have to start with the basis of, hey, this is who I am, you know, and you can be close and like we can work through this or whatever. But I'm not big. I'm big on making sure that it's not from a place of deceit.
I understand.
Yeah.
Well, and if it's not, then I don't think you're doing anything wrong. The reason I was smiling, Justin, while you were talking is not because I thought what you're saying was funny. Is because whenever you talk, I imagine comments. I imagine.
Your comments that you're gonna get. Oh yeah, you're gonna get smoked over me, bro. You're lucky. You're lucky. Some other guys are not on here. You'd be even worse.
Yeah, dude. If Hamza was on here, or are you doing Fresh and Fit later today?
No.
Oh, okay. Because that's every time. That's a fucking bloodbath, dude.
Bro, I've been on Fresh and Fit. God, dude. Probably close to 10 times now.
Yeah, and every time.
And it's always murder, bro. They're great. I love them, man. They're good
man.
guys.
Well, look, it's you know, that's why I wanted to have you on, right? Because I am not partial to, I think, any sort of one way of thinking other than fucking thinking and understanding that the world might not be the way that you imagine it is, and understanding that once you start to peel back the layers on what you previously thought were objective truths about the world, you realize that you're self-sabotaging in a lot of ways, particularly as a young man. We talked about this earlier, but I am what I am partial to is people who are brutally honest and unabashedly true to themselves, right? And that's what, you know, and again, this isn't a fucking think piece on you or on any other guys we mentioned. We're talking about any of those guys, right? But what all those people do have in common is that they don't give a fuck, and they say exactly what it is that they're thinking, right? And those people have almost a gravitational pull, right? And you think about it even in professional sports, in fucking MMA and wrestling, where it's not even real, right? You think about like the fucking Conor McGregors and these guys that are they just say shit. And I think it's important to have those dialogues in a world, again, where it's like, dude, like I'm afraid to, and I'm not, dude, I'm not a radical speaker. Like as a matter of fact, most of the things that we've talked about today, I see multiple sides of, but it's like, dude, it's so fun to have these conversations because it makes me just sit here and realize, like, man, you know, sometimes I think things that I would like to say that I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that.
Maybe that is the number one thing that young people should stop doing, caring what other people think. It's the most beneficial freedom that will ever come, and honestly, I think it's the most profitable thing that could ever come. My biggest struggle coming up, I wanted to do YouTube for a long time. There were two things in my way. I wanted to have a liquid M in the bank. And then past that, even after I'd done it, I was worried about what people on my Facebook would think about me. Now I purposely flex on their ass. Oh, private jet. Fuck all of you. You know? Not because I'm angry at anyone. I truly don't live with anger, but this is the part of me that was scared about what people would think.
Yes.
You know? And so for me.
Dude, and yeah. Sorry for that.
No, do it.
No, I just sorry. I see myself in these conversations because
it's real.
Dude, and it's so real. And this is when I talk about limiting beliefs, and I know that like the whole Matrix thing has gotten so played out, but when I talk about that, man, like I really just think that I think 90% of this battle is mental, and I think that so many people have incredible potential inside of them, and that they're not blocked by a lack of skill, they're not blocked by a lack of intelligence, they're blocked by a lack of self-belief, and that lack of self-belief is fueled by fucking misconceptions about the world. Dude. Yeah. And the more people like you I meet, or I was talking about Luca earlier, I meet kids that are 21 years old that are 100 millionaires that dropped out of fucking high school. Luke loves talking about this, right? All these guys, maybe they just, well, first of all, not only maybe they just know something I don't know, maybe I just have misconceptions that they've shed, right? So anyway, I think it's important to empower people to speak what the fuck they think in a world where there's this fake atmosphere of everyone's opinion is heard because we all have Twitter. But the reality is that we all open Twitter and I'll have 100 thoughts and I'll only tweet one of them because the other 99 are not going to go over well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like you've built a brand wherein you literally just fucking.
I live my entire life. I live my entire life that way. No, I wouldn't do all 100. I'd do every one that was true to me.
Yeah.
And there's no better freedom in the world. And what you grow to find out is that everything that you were scared of around judgment, it's gonna happen. But the amount of love that will come to you for being who you truly are is gonna so far surpass it.
I was so scared.
Yeah, me too.
That's why I wasted years of my life, dude. That's
Yeah.
why I didn't start till I was 20,
Yeah.
23. I should have
Yeah.
started when I was 12.
Yeah, yeah. And so guys like Sneeko benefit from that, right? In such a huge way. Like everywhere I go with Sneeko, people want to take pictures, right? It's great. And now it's happening to me. It's the best feeling in the world. I'm sure it happens to you and will. It does.
I got recognized for the first couple times in my city last week. It's
Sick,
fucking
right?
Weird.
Sick, right?
Fucking
no,
weird.
bullshit is fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Where's the camera?
really
It's
good.
awesome. I'm in the airport, or bro, I'll be like with a girl or something, and some kid will come up to me and be like, "Can we take a picture?" I'm like, "Yes, sir, we can." Here you go. Make the whoopee take it, or the if I had a wife take it. So, I mean, dude, there's not a bigger flex.
Yeah.
There's not a bigger. I had a mom stop me like 2 days ago.
How'd she look?
It wasn't that. It was that she stopped me and she had her 2 kids. She looked good, man. But like it's like she had her kids with her.
She got back.
She's like, no, bro. She was probably like, she was past dating age.
Okay.
But it was awesome because her little boy noticed me, and so the little boy noticed me going to the bathroom, and then the little girl must have Googled, and so the mom wanted to take a picture with both the kids. And dude, I'm here for that. I love that. You know. I don't want to be anything but good and kind to people, so it's great. So yeah, you're gonna love that shit.
You gotta get the Instagram back up just so you can get the DMs, bro. So you get the DM, bro. You need some deal flow.
Dude, I don't need it.
Never mind, you don't need it.
I don't
but
need
it'd
it.
be nice. But
Yeah, Instagram's cool, bro. I heard that Meta's coming out with a paid blue check. So
they fucking should. They make so much money, dude.
I think I was super glad when Elon did it. I'll openly say, like, I was trying to get it. But I'll put it to you like this. The reason I'll openly talk about this is because I don't tag having a blue check or big Instagram to being cool. Motherfucker, I'm cool in real life.
Same.
You know what I'm saying? And I know that, and I know who I am. And so, like, if I could have bought a blue check and it would have worked, I'd have done it.
Oh,
it's transactional. It protects your account, bro.
We're talking about. All right, let's talk about. I did, bro.
Yeah.
I paid fucking 10 grand for one, and then,
bro, I tried.
Yeah, and now it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Now it doesn't matter. So like, and that's the thing, man. It's like people knew I had money, and they would just come after me. I spent 60 just trying to keep it up,
dude.
Paying dudes to pull it back up for me. Now I just like whatever, bro. Like if I lose, I was to the point. And I do have Instagram. I'm not going to tell you what the handle is. But I was to the point where it's like I had no photos, nothing on it, trying to protect it, keeping it down. Because these fucking trolls, they got nothing to do. They're nerds. Bro, keep my Instagram. I'll be me.
Bro,
you know?
Brother,
all
guess
day.
what? Spent $10,000 on a check on Twitter. It doesn't matter now. Instagram gave me a fucking blue check for free, and I still have that one. So
it's crazy.
But you know what? Like people can say, "Oh my god, you spent." Dude,
that's transactional.
No, brother, I was getting DMs every day of people getting scammed from people pretending to be me. So like,
dude,
half it wasn't even for. Man, of course it was for me because it's cool. Like I'm not acting like it wasn't for me, but also like fuck, like stop getting scammed.
Yeah.
And you, dude,
bro.
Especially because you have like a war room link, right? So you are the perfect person to impersonate the fucking.
Oh, bro, there's a new one every day.
Yeah.
If you just put JWaller, just J, and then
like
go to put
accounts,
bro, it's a bunch of dudes, just shitheads. But
shitheads. But
it's all coming to an end now. Now they get to be broke boys again because their soul is rotting from the inside out.
Yeah, well,
good for them.
Yeah, good. We try.
Yeah,
you try.
Whatever, bro.
Well, let me ask you. This is how I wanna wrap it up because I always wanna. These conversations are fun, but I want it to be impactful. I want to be positive, right? Yeah. And we sit here, and I get a lot of good nuggets from you and everyone that I have on the channel. But like, the simplest way that I can sort of synthesize this is to ask you the following: like, if I am let's say I'm a 19-year-old kid watching this video, right? Yeah. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, this Justin guy is fucking great. This is how I want to be. You know, this is finally someone sort of speaking the things that I think about, and I want to improve myself, but I don't know what I can do as soon as I get off this fucking channel, right? And go continue on with my day. what if I'm that kid watching this video? What are some things that I can do tomorrow or tonight to put myself in a better position to be a man of status, wealth, character, and all the above?
Right. I say the first thing you would really need to do is control your atmosphere. Like when it comes to food, I don't keep food in my fridge. I eat once a day. So I don't eat food because it's just there. So controlling your atmosphere altogether. So if you're of age of putting yourself in an atmosphere that probably would suit you better for success, i.e. possibly leaving your family's house and going and finding other young men that have goals and want to do better, that aren't on drugs, that want to work out, that want to make money, I think controlling your atmosphere is number one over everything. I think fitness and money and all those things can come if the atmosphere is correct. If you're not in that position, understand, and I did this personally, that spending time with the people on the internet through their YouTube channels and through their social medias is a way of controlling your atmosphere when you feel like there's nobody around you that sees the world in the way that you do.
Yep.
So the number one thing that I think a young man can do outside of just purely getting in shape first, especially being a young guy and studying finance and how the world works, is control your atmosphere. Nothing is more powerful than controlling the space that you're in mentally and physically. And I think a lot of things come from controlling that aspect of your life. If you'd have never left Tulsa, you wouldn't be who you are.
Hell, that's damn
right,
dude.
But if you had to stay in Tulsa,
I could still.
You could still work on this. You could have that internal growth
Yeah.
before you left.
Yeah, if I had to stay in Tulsa, but then I had begun studying conversations like this one,
Right.
I think I could.
Yeah.
Probably would have taken me longer, but I believe in that, man. And I was talking about atomic habits earlier. You when you design your environment intentionally, and I'm telling, dude, my life is like an elimination diet. 90% of the battle for me is not adding things or learning new things. It's fucking getting rid of bullshit that I didn't need. So
no, you're absolutely right. Unlearning things, and I often say it's very important for a young man to realize that he's capable and that he should guard the gates of his mind. Guard the gates of your mind. There's a world out there that might not align with what you want for yourself. So if you guard the gates of your mind, you might just be able to fend that off until you can create an atmosphere around you of who you want to be. So
incredible.
That's what I would tell them, especially in a small town. Yeah.
I appreciate you, brother. We have that in
man.
common. I appreciate you coming on the channel, man.
Yeah, man.
I think this has been maybe the best conversation I've gotten to have on here thus far. This is one I was looking forward to personally, man. I know you're a busy guy, so we appreciate you coming on the show. I'd love to have you back sometime.
I'd love to.
I told you I'm going to be back in Miami connecting with you-know-who. I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, that handsome little son of a bitch.
Yeah, but I appreciate you, man. Thank you for
man.
coming on.
I'm glad to be here, man.